To call this meeting to order. Ms. Byron, may I have roll call, please?
Yes, Mrs. Anderson,
Here.
Miss Harrington, Miss Harrington,
Here.
Mrs. Dawson,
Here.
Mr. Rickett.
Here.
Madam Chair, the clerk certifies the presence of a quorum.
Thank you. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I thought it was
Oh, no.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
May I have a motion, please?
Move to approve as presented.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the board, and thank you all for taking some time out this morning to come back and gather. And I just feel that it is important, since we have a school board approved budget based off an amount that we were seeking and now a different amount that we will be receiving. I think it is appropriate to bring forward some recommended amendments and proposed amendments to the school board's approved budget. And so this will be a little bit of a lighter version of the presentation from March. And again, so I'd like to thank you all very much. So I'd like to provide an update on positions and stipends. And so the first position, a first grade teacher at Locust Grove Primary School, we do absolutely have to have this position. I have an asterisk there because we have looked internally and found where we had a grade level that we know is going to be a little bit lighter on student population and a little bit heavier on teacher staffing. And at Orange Elementary School, and we are going to move that position from Orange Elementary School to Locust Grove Primary School. So it is not technically in addition to the budget, however, it is in addition to the staffing at the primary school. Our reading specialist at the primary school is absolutely essential. We have to have that position, as well as our school counselor and our special educators and our EL instructor. Our school psychologist at division level. We were working on the presentation on Friday and then over the weekend. And of course, the great update that we have is that our grant that will cover one of the SSO positions has been approved. And so we will be able to not only bring a security officer to the high school, but we will be able to bring a security officer to both middle schools. And again, the grant will cover the salary and benefits for one of those two middle school positions. We learned that late on Friday. 3 bus drivers and a bus monitor, and we very much want to continue to increase our athletic and activity offerings, especially at the middle school level. And so this budget includes a stipend for bringing volleyball to the middle schools, as well as boys and girls soccer. If you go to the next one, please, Laura. This budget also absorbs the anticipated 15% increase in health insurance, 5% dental increase. It does move our registrars, except for the high school, who is already on a 12-month contract, our other 8 registrars to a 12-month contract. It provides a 3% pay raise for the vast majority of our school employees. The areas and classifications that are higher include custodian pay. We moved the starting salary to $15 an hour, and it is an average of about a 4% pay raise for our custodians over the entire scale. Also, we moved our building secretary pay scale to $15.25 an hour. And then that raise totaled about an average of about 3.87 when you took it across the entire scale. Now, the big number, of course, is our proposed teacher pay scale. And we wanted to remain true to the efforts and what we have identified as areas of need. And so I would like to propose to the board a pay scale that looks like the one that is presented on the screen. And what you will notice is in the earlier steps where we are far more competitive and in most cases already pretty much setting the median of the market, the percentage increase is less, and then it grows as it moves over the course of the other 30 steps. Assuming that our neighboring school divisions do a straight 3% raise, which is what is essentially called for in the state budget. So if that holds true, this pay scale will get all of the steps within $1,800 of the median. And we have steps right now that are well over $3,000 and some that are almost $4,000 off of the median. So this is an incredible step in the right direction. And I think as we move forward, this is step one in continuing to close the gap on teacher pay. And again, you can see we're very proud that we can bring forward percentages that are in the high fives, touching 6%. When you get to the steps that are our most critical areas of need, which essentially run from basically steps 14, 15, up all the way through 30. And so in order to accomplish these goals, I'll walk through the operating budget. You have seen these slides before, however, they are now updated with new realities. So what the first slide that you see is the state revenue that we get from what the state titles SOQ programs. And you can see there is an increase in 1.3 million there from the state as far as an SOQ. Next, you have the incentive programs, compensation supplements, VPI, et cetera. And so this information covers the state revenue to the operating budget and incentive programs. The next slide will be our categorical funding from the state. This includes things like adult ed, our school lunch program, homebound, our special education to work with our regional jails, and other categorical funds. And then finally, our state revenue for lottery-funded programs, including foster care, at-risk, project graduation, et cetera. Next will be our federal revenues. And so the federal revenues are going up a total of $13,105 this year. And then next will be our other revenues, including local. And so we have the bus lease, we have our county transfer, and we have other things such as E-rate. And of course, that is down because the projects that we will do will be less expensive in the coming year. And you can see we have accounted for the SSO grant as well. And so when you total all that up in the next slide on slide 13, this takes all the total revenues in the operating budget between the state, the federal, the other proceeds, lease proceeds, the county transfer for the overall total. And then the next slide on 14 will give a breakdown of where these funds will be expended, with close to 70% going to instruction, 5.2 to admin, attendance, and health, 10% to pupil transportation, almost 10% to operations and maintenance, 1% from fund transfers, that is from the textbook fund, that's from the operating to the textbook, and a little under 5% for technology. Now, also, we want to present to you our other budget areas outside of the operating budget. And this budget here, of course, is incredibly important for all of us. In particular, we have received approval to add $350,000 beyond what has been our historically our annual contribution of $778,666. This money we will use to begin the process of expanding classroom space at Locust Grove Elementary and Primary. This is not a building construction as far as moving exterior walls and adding to the building. This is taking existing classrooms and taking existing walls and removing them and reinstalling them in areas so that it uses the space more wisely. In particular, at Locust Grove Elementary School, because it was originally designed as a middle school, you have in each of the wings some larger classrooms that previously served as science labs. And then there is a smaller prep room between them. By removing the old science lab material, sinks and hoods and all of that stuff that takes up room, and moving the walls of the prep room, we can create 3 classrooms where currently we have 2. And so we will begin that work this summer as our project specialist is currently seeking quotes in order to get the best pricing to do that. And so we will be bringing that forward to the board once we have those quotes in hand for approval. As no doubt, I don't see any way that that's going to be less than a $100,000 project. Of course, which is why we are seeking an additional $350,000. The remaining slides are unchanged as well. We have our debt service budget, and you can see that the FY23 bus purchase will now be complete. It will be coming off the books, and the FY26 bus purchase will be coming onto the books, as well as the performance contracts. Performance contract 1, 2, and 3. Next, Laura, will be our food service budget. Again, here, as is always the case, our total revenues need to match our total expenditures. And so we have this taken care of. And also, our food service employees will be getting at least a 3% raise as well. And the budget is able to sustain a 3% raise for our food service and nutrition workers. If you please go next, Laura, is the textbook budget. Again, you will see the transfer from the operating that was on from previous slides, as well as the fund balance that is in the line, for a total revenue of a little over $1.5 million. And as you know, we are doing quite a bit of textbook adoption. We are beginning the process, or in the process of math. We just recently finished our English language arts at the secondary school. So, of course, those revenues and expenditures have to equal out. Next will be Head Start, I believe. Again, revenues and expenditures have to equal themselves out. Finally, we have our adult education budget. Again, revenues and expenses evening out. And then the last 2 slides puts everything together for you, where we have revenues from the state, the federal, the county, from local, from fund transfers to fund balance to lease proceeds, all put on one chart, which of course matches the next slide, which takes all of our expenses in the various functions. And those 2 final line items, of course, match up. And so we are really happy that we're able to provide especially the raise to our teachers. And again, I think as we move forward, and our talking points are if we're able to chip away each year, we are going to find ourselves in a really good spot. And currently, the relationship between us and the Board of Supervisors is strong, and they definitely have support for our efforts to continue to enhance our teacher pay beyond what is established as a minimum from the state budget. And so that is the proposed amendments to the budget that you all have approved. And if certainly here and open for any questions that you may have. And if possible, it would be incredibly helpful to seek and have your approval today so that we can begin the process of getting out contracts to our employees by tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. So that is where we stand. And again, I thank you all for your time.
Are there any questions? Go ahead.
We're good? No questions?
Sandy.
I have the questions.
Yeah. You do?
Go ahead.
No. I was going to make a motion, but if you have a question, go ahead.
We'll make a motion. Aren't we supposed to make a motion second and then discuss? Or do I have to have the
Well, if you
opportunity
have
to
any
ask some
questions
questions?
about the budget,
You can ask the question.
It is early, isn't it? Dr. Hornick, I do have a few questions.
Sure.
Would you remind us or remind me if there are any positions that you had originally hoped to bring forward that are not included in this current budget?
Yes, ma'am, there are. At this moment, in order to make the budget work, there are there are 3 positions at the high school. There was a reading specialist, there was a TV, video, media broadcasting teacher, as well as a criminal justice teacher. There were 2 English language learner positions. There was an additional bus driver. We were originally looking at 4. That was reduced to 3. School social worker.
Special programs, behavior coach.
If you give me 1 second, Ms. Harrington, I know exactly where I have that information. To make a long story short, we are rolling with the positions that we know we cannot live without.
So those things like the special ed that are mandatory based on staffing or student needs. Okay.
Correct.
I just wanted to
Yes, English
Clear.
language learner teachers. I believe there was. We were hoping for 4 originally, so there are 3 there: 2 CTE teachers, a reading specialist, and a bus driver. And we also cut at the time a school security officer because we knew that we weren't going to have that position without the grant. And so
that
now
is
that
the
we
one
know
that's-
that we have the grant, that position.
And it's just the one school security officer that is being funded by the grant.
That's correct.
The balance is funded through the operating budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. When do we anticipate we will know whether or not the health increases are going to be at that level?
Probably will be another month or 2.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be before open enrollment, which is in August. So I anticipate, well, we're already in May, so hopefully a month we'll know.
If we have set aside sufficient or over sufficient funding, do we allow that to be captured and spent elsewhere within the budget?
Correct. So the budget, the operating budget includes enough funds to withstand that increase without passing it along to employees. And so if health insurance comes in at a 12% increase as opposed to a 15, those are unforeseen, yet we will be very happy to accept them, operating savings that we can then put into other areas, right? Whether it be establishing some one-time purchases, or if we want to look at investing, depending on the number, back into salaries and benefits for some of our targeted areas, in particular custodians and building secretaries. Those will all have to be very important discussions, though, with you all, because of course, anytime you don't do it as a one-time purchase, you are already adding to next year's budget, and so we want to be judicious with that. But yes, those would be those would still be our funds that we have the flexibility to utilize in other ways.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I would also ask if you could give a little bit of clarity to why we are changing from our original adopted salary schedule to the now modified salary schedule, and that this will, I think just it's really important that if anyone is watching or listening, that they understand that this is a phased-in process, that we still anticipate and hope to be able to give additional salary increases over the years.
That's
to
correct.
Continue our competitiveness, and part of the reason why is the instability and uncertainness with funding, with revenues, state and county and federal revenues at this point.
Agreed. So the reason that we had to adjust and modify numerous areas in the budget is because the original number that we asked for, we did not receive. And so in order to make the numbers work, we had to find reductions. And of course, when 80% or more of your budget is tied to personnel, that's where the biggest savings is. And so the this budget maximizes every potential dollar to provide, especially on the teacher pay scale. And I agree with you 100%. If over the next few years, each year we are able to give 1.5% or 2% more than what the state minimum is, we will continue to chip away, and we will get to the median of the market, which is where we hoped we would be. So you can see in 1 year of doing this, and this pay raise over the course of 30 steps averages just a shade over 5%. We are able to really cut how far we are off of the median, almost in half. And it increases the number of steps where we actually are at the median all the way through. So 100% agree, and that's where our board, working with the Board of Supervisors, those continued conversations and more routine and frequent conversations will be really helpful to promote understanding and additional support for the efforts we want to achieve, in particular with teacher pay.
Thank you. I think, again, it's really critical that our citizenry understands that. And I would, again, commend you and thank you so much for the time and the effort that you and your staff, every single one of you, did towards making sure that we maximize every dollar that we have, that we think out of the box and are creative, and that our staff and our teachers were number one as far as bringing them, being able to both recruit, retain, but more importantly, to provide them a level of respect based on the fact that if we had it, we'd give it to them, but we don't right now, and we want to make sure that they know we are taking and making every effort to show them how much we appreciate what they do for our students. So thank you, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Very well said, Ms. Harrington. Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one question. As far as
Yes,
the
ma'am.
SSO position,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
grant,
Yes.
is that a one-time grant? And how does that work for our future?
So that is a wonderful question.
Sorry.
No, it's because, so the grant, we actually had to work with the county administrator. It was actually submitted to the DCJS via them, and Susan actually took the lead, and she is not here. I want to say it is.
I thought we could reapply
And
next year.
and we can reapply.
Right.
I believe is how it works. And
So the answer is kind of yes and no. So the first year it's funded, we can reapply next year. Hopefully we don't. If we want to keep the position, then that would add to the budget.
Okay.
Yeah. But, we need clarification from Susan, so no big deal.
Yes, but I believe Mr. Rick is actually 100% correct. I believe it's yearly. We applied for it last year and did not receive it, but we were actually sent an email saying, hey, we noticed you applied and didn't get it. We suggest applying for it. So we felt pretty good once we were now in receipt of that. And so those positions, especially at our middle schools, are going to be very helpful to our administrators in particular. Our goal is really going to be to free up principals and assistant principals as much as possible. We have some ideas at the high school for staffing that will reallocate some positions, and as well as at the two middle schools to free up our principals and assistant principals to be in classrooms, working in PLCs, moving instruction forward, because that's what we're here for. And so we would if we aren't a recipient of the grant next year, we would have to add that position and that salary and benefits to local to the operating budget. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. There's nothing else? Mr. Rickett, would you like to make a motion?
I would. So I want to echo what Ms. Harrington said. Thank Dan and the entire team for working so hard. Every member of the team gave something. Some gave more than others. But every member gave something back to the budget, with the priority being raises for our employees. We did not add any new positions because the priority was raising the pay to become more competitive within this market. So that being said, kudos to you guys. Continue terrific job. Would like to thank the county administrator, Ted Voorhees, and all of the supervisors for continuing to work with us and making sure that we are sending the correct message to our employees, that they are valued here and we appreciate them every single day. As Dr. Hornick talked to earlier, we're not done. We are not done. We are going to continue to chip away to get to the median of the market. It's just going to take us, maybe a year or two longer than I think what we had originally planned. That being said, it's still a good day for all employees within the division. A terrific day. So thanks again to Dr. Hornick and the entire team. It's my pleasure to make a motion to adopt FY 25-26 budget.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor by saying aye.
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 Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ms. Dawson, you're off on contracts.
They're already hard at work.
She
Sounded
seems
so
so enthusiastic about it. Did we want to mention the Teacher of the Year while we're here? Did you want to give us some?
Sure. So
Come up to the mic, Ms. Dawson.
Well, and the only other thing is, I know it's on the website, but, kudos to the high school, our athletic director, Mike Neely. We had 20 young people sign letters of intent to further their education with athletics. We used athletics to further educate our young people, and 20 is a significant number. So great job to those guys.
Yeah. So Friday, we did go out. We made a day of it, and we visited all of our 9 schools. We recognized each building level Teacher of the Year winner. And then at the end of the day, we recognized our division level winner, who is Jessica Gredler. Jessica is an Orange County resident, an Orange County graduate. She lives and breathes Orange County. She teaches special education at Prospect Heights Middle School. You may remember her from Taco Camp. She puts that together. She's just really invested in our community and in our students, and so it was an honor to recognize her. We also recognized we increased our of the year recognitions last year, and so we continued that this year. We recognized a rookie teacher for elementary and a rookie teacher for secondary. We also recognized a support staff member from elementary and a support staff member from secondary, and also a student support, like your school counselors, nurses, for the secondary and for the elementary. So it was a great day. It was a lot of fun.
Yes,
and
it was.
Saw a lot of tears, good tears, happy tears, and a lot of kids that were excited. And if you ever want to give an award, go to 8th grade at Locust Grove Middle at lunch. Whew. They lit that room up. Yeah, but it was fun. It was
You get
fun.
rowdy.
Yeah, but in a good way. Yeah, they were very excited. So, yeah, it was a good day.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And then we have the retiree brunch coming up. Don't forget. Okay.
Congratulations to all the recipients. Well deserved.
Very much so. So, Jack, you moved us on to board member comments. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other comments that anybody would like to make?
You guys are just like that.
I just wanted to mention, I was in touch with, his name just flew right out of my head, the parliamentarian guy.
Oh.
And he said July is pretty open for him, other than the week of the holiday at the beginning. So if we want to go ahead and set a time, Ms. Byram, Ms. Dawson, and us. I don't know how the easiest way to do that is. Give us your availability.
Easiest way is to pick a date and
All
tell
right,
me.
well, that's what I'm saying. Do you
I'm
want
up
to,
in July.
do you
Tell me
wanna-
what's good for you guys.
do you want to go ahead and do that? Do you know, Ms. Dawson, or Ms. Byram, do you all have July availability? Gilmeister, that's his name. I knew it would come to me eventually.
Sounds like a name I'd make up.
So I'm assuming whatever date we decide on this would also be the date for the retreat,
The retreat date. We had talked about combining the two.
combining the two.
Mhm.
Half and half day, yeah.
The only thing I will ask is starting on the 21st, that's when we're getting ready for our wellness fair, and we're trying to get all of our new hires processed, and then that next Monday, no, wait. No, the 21st is yeah. I will not be available after the 21st.
So maybe that middle week of the 14th?
I'm good on that
That
one.
would be good.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Do you guys have, no one's planning on being gone at that point for your breaks? No? You're back
No,
and
we're
forth?
just not.
We're not here Friday.
I think that's the last week of our Fridays, yeah.
Okay, so you were off on those Fridays. Okay.
Do you want to just go with that Monday, the 14th?
Works
I'll have
for
to
me.
confirm with him, but he said he's fairly open, so,
We have to decide what day we're doing the board meeting as well.
oh. I guess that's next meeting's decision.
Because I guess, I guess that would be the
Well, we
7th.
could just like start at 6 a.m. and go all day long until late evening.
Run it through.
You really enjoy sitting back there. The week of the 14th is fine with me, but we need to decide what we're doing as far as if we're consolidating the meetings to one, and then if we are,
Well, I'm assuming, I mean, the 7th is coming out of the holiday weekend. I don't know if that matters.
no?
I mean, I don't know for administrators if it matters as much in the summer as it does during the school year.
What's that?
To have the board meeting on the 7th, the first day back after the holiday.
Is that the 4th of July weekend?
It is. The 4th is on that Friday before.
We'll make whatever works.
You're talking about having the meeting on the 7th.
Yeah, or the 14th. Well,
And
We can ponder.
since
and
we're pondering and
decide
since
on the
we're
next meeting.
talking right at the moment about that, June 2nd, I will be out of state. Do we want to,
Yeah, my proposal last meeting was to do one meeting in June and one meeting in July. So
yeah.
that's why I was thinking if we just picked the middle of the month for both.
16th and 14th.
Yeah.
16th of June?
16th of June, 14th of July for meeting.
Sounds good.
Yep, it's gonna be one meeting.
Yeah, if it's in the middle, that works well.
Laura, just make sure we have food. You know how Dr. Horn gets hangry if he doesn't eat.
And coffee, so Mrs. Dawson doesn't.
And get him one of those pumps for underneath so he gets some exercise instead of just,
Okay, so then
My
what
tells
should,
are getting known.
So do we want to do everything on the same day?
so what should I ask Miss, I mean, that works for me.
Yeah.
I-
Do it, get it over with.
A marathon is sometimes better than chopping it up.
Okay.
So ask him about the 14th of July?
Yep.
Okay.
Retreat. And then Ms. Byram, if you could look into, obviously we'll be here, but as far as ordering and all that fun stuff. Appreciate it. And it seems like it's far away, but
It'll creep up quickly.
it will creep up quickly and we'll all forget about it. All right. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
All right. Good? Good. I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.